Mexico has elected its first woman president, former Mexico City Mayor Claudia Sheinbaum. Congratulations, screamed Hillary Clinton into a pillow.
Yes, that's right. It's a woman, and Hillary Clinton was never elected. She's still not president. Her last breath will be a breath of tragic disappointment, of bitterness. So we got that going for us. Bitter, nasty, horribly unhappy Hillary. Bomp. Face down in a pool of her own dried vomit. I'd like to feel sorry for her, but I can't, as compassionate as I am. You got to draw the line somewhere, and I draw the whole compassion thing somewhere this side of Hillary Clinton. Doesn't make it that far. I feel for a lot of people, but not everyone. I mean, come on. Let's be serious. Speaking of Hunter Biden, the jury has been impaneled. I think the fix is in. You see the people they picked, they provided clues as to the jurors. It's Wilmington, Delaware, Biden country. It's like a small town. There was a bad old movie called Macon County Line, about a corrupt little town, with like a cop on a motorcycle behind a billboard waiting to entrap people. And that's Wilmington, Delaware, with the Biden family. The fix is in. It's rigged. I'm still looking for the Justice Department to cut some kind of a deal that will lead to no consequences, kind of fake thing. They'll take some Ukrainian money or Chinese money and pay it over. It'll be a wink and a nod. They'll all walk away with a back rub and everything will be okay. I keep looking for that. That's not over yet. But they did impanel a jury yesterday, and they're looking at bringing in to testify Hunter Biden's ex-wife. Does he really only have one ex-wife? With his history, he's only got one ex-wife. They're going to bring in his ex-wife. They're going to bring in his brother's widow. The brother's widow, Hallie. I saw who was at CBS yesterday calling her Haley over and over again, like she's a comet. She's not a comet. Oh, that's Hallie too, but never mind. So the brother's widow, Bo's widow, who he also was, what's the polite radio term? Boinking, I think. Boinking, and at the same time, boinking the brother's widow's sister, just to keep it classy, And going to bring in London Roberts, who seems like actually the nicest person in the whole conversation. She was the exotic dancer lady from, it was on K Street, I think, right? K Street, the Gentlemen's Club in Washington, D.C. They have lobbyists and gentlemen's clubs. What's the difference? Well, the people that work at the gentlemen's clubs are generally more honest and honorable than it's Lobbyist Alley, K Street. But London Roberts, and she has a daughter who looks like a lovely young girl, Navy Joan Roberts. Well, they should bring Navy Joan in to testify, too. They should have her in the courtroom. Then Hunter could meet her. She could meet her father, her daddy, the baby daddy. He's the baby daddy. But they're going to bring in London Roberts, the former exotic dancer. It really does seem like a perfectly nice person. And their daughter, the daughter that London Roberts had with Hunter Biden, that he denied paternity and fought her in court and tried to deny her everything. That's because he's skeevy. He's a skeevy kind of guy. And the ex-wife, Hunter's ex-wife, the long-suffering ex-wife, you got to feel for her. She married the son of a senator, and Hunter's brother seemed like a pretty squared-away guy, attorney general, served in the Army as a lawyer, all that good stuff. And the brother's widow, Hallie. They should bring in the brother's widow's sister, too, just to round things out. And bring in those Russian hookers. They should bring in the Russian hookers from the videotapes. And they're going to use the laptop, which you remember they told us was Russian disinformation. That's because people like penitentiary face Brennan, John Brennan, the communist CIA director under Barack Obama. I only call him a communist because he proudly voted for the Communist Party candidate Gus Hall for the presidency of the United States. Not a problem there. And then, we got Barack Obama, who was mentored by a communist named Frank Marshall Davis. You wonder why everything's going so well in the United States. It's going just like things go in other communist countries. Remarkable things. And then we're going to have an election. I'm making quotation marks with my fingers. We got an election. Also, speaking of Joseph Robinette Biden, he is going to prove today, and the news media is going to adore. Oh, by the way, the news media adores Hunter Biden. Dr. Jill Biden, who's not a doctor, was in the courtroom yesterday, and the daughter that Joe Biden used to shower with at inappropriate ages, and then became a sex addict and a drug addict. Ashley Biden, Joe Biden's daughter. And then she was in some kind of halfway house or something where she left her diary, right? And then somebody found her diary, which was another passive-aggressive act, just like Hunter leaving the laptop at that repair shop in Delaware, where it would surely be discovered and the contents would be found out. And then they'd have to engage in a criminal conspiracy to cover it up, led by the likes of penitentiary face Brennan, who should be frog marched away in an orange jumpsuit. He should be put in a double wide near the fence line, don't you think? That's like James Comey said when they throw Donald Trump in prison and they strip him of his Secret Service protection because the Democrats want to strip him of his Secret Service protection, then put him in prison because murder is in their heart, bloodlust. They're savages. They're third worlders. Honestly, the Democrat Party, they're not Democrats. They're basically commies. So we got that going. Joe Biden is going to sign an executive order today that will control our border. But he lied to us when every time he was asked, I can't do anything about the border. And everybody that doesn't have their head wedged deep into their dark and remote location knew that he was a lying Sacagawea every time he told that lie. He couldn't do it. No, the Republicans, Capitol Hill. Yeah, well, they passed House Resolution 2. That would have solved all our problems. The news media continues to pretend because they lie for the Democrat Party all the time. It's why they get out of bed in the morning. It's usually not their own bed that they got out of in the morning, because that's another discussion for another day. But they say, the news media yesterday, I got some audio for you, ABC, NBC, CBS. Poor Hunter Biden. Jill is so good. And it's very compassionate. It's the opposite of the Trump family treatment because they're savages, honestly. They'll carjack you, given half a chance. I mean, like network news anchors, I think, would probably carjack you. It's they make $17 million, and they'd still carjack you because it's just the kind of people there. But he's going to sign an executive order today, and they're going to pretend that solves the border problem. And it's only because the polls have gone south on them. What is it, like 65% of us, 67% of us think that Joe Biden's doing a terrible job with the border. What with all the murders and the rapes and the gangs and all that stuff that Joe Biden waved into the country since he's got Secret Service protection. We should take his Secret Service protection away when he's thrown in the penitentiary, because now everybody has to go to the penitentiary, everybody in politics. It's like being a governor of Illinois, one term in the state house and then one term in the big house. That's an Illinois tradition they've got going on there. But Joe Biden, with all the money coming in from Ukraine and getting the prosecutor fired that was looking into the company that was funneling $1 million a year into the Biden family coffers, that's not a problem. We've got a news media that says that's not a problem. Hunter Biden coming along on the Air Force Two trip when Joe was vice president to China. And then they lied. Joe Biden lied and the media lied that, no, there were no business meetings there. Then we found out much later, of course, there were business meetings there, and the Chinese are funneling billions to the Biden family. Talk about somebody that belongs in handcuffs, belongs in a courtroom. I want to convict him of 34 felonies. I think at least 34, maybe 35. Not to one up or anything like that, but 35 felonies for Joe Biden. That's my goal anyway. That's my target. Remarkable. Also in the 10 a.m. hour today, I'm going to do something that to say it's very unusual would be understatement. We're going to, my friend, the great Brent Bozell, is going to come out of the Media Research Center and Newsbusters. My friend Brent Bozell is coming on to talk about what the lynch mob is doing to his family and to his son because, January 6th. So you want to be here for Brent Bozell in the 10 a.m. hour. Every 5 years or so, the last guest I had was President Trump from the White House. And today, Brent Bozell, because he has an amazing story to tell a horrifying, un-American story that the Democrats are inflicting upon all of us. Oh, by the way, speaking of Joe Biden and his border insanity, an illegal alien from Venezuela. You'd think everybody from Venezuela is a criminal. Hey, are you from Venezuela? Our phone number is 888-630-9625. Just want to see if you're a criminal or if everybody from Venezuela is a criminal. It's quite amazing. But a criminal from Venezuela, how do I know he's a criminal? Because he shot 2 NYPD officers, and he's an illegal alien that Joe Biden waved into the country. And we know he came in through Eagle Pass. He came in last year. He's an illegal alien. He's from Venezuela, where all these gang members are coming from. Shot 2 NYPD officers. And the news media could care less because they protect crime and criminals, but want to lynch the other political party. That's the Republican Party. Remarkable stuff. So much stuff going on. Amazing. I am telling you. Man. Walmart locking all of their goods up because Democrats are stealing everything. You know, you might start to think that maybe the Democrat Party is the problem here. Also at University of Pittsburgh, the pro-jihad anti-Semites were out and they attacked the police and injured a lot of police. That's the Democrat Party. Democrat Party stealing everything from Walmart. Democrat Party waving criminals from Venezuela in to shoot police officers. Democrat Party waving criminals in to murder Laken Riley and Ruby Garcia. The Democrats, honestly, you see they had this Pride Month. They're very proud this month. And they had a clash between the pro-Hamas anti-Semite mob, that's the Democrat Party, and the Pride Month marching people. And there was a violent conflict there. Why would that be a problem? Not a problem at all. We've got all kinds. Anthony Fauci was on Capitol Hill. He's obviously a Democrat. You know how I know that? Because he lied for years about everything Wuhan related. And by the way, the Democrats helped fund the Wuhan Institute of Virology in Wuhan, China, where Chairman Mao swam the Yangtze River at the age of 73 to show how virile he was. He was setting the table for Joe Biden all these years later to ride a bicycle. But setting that aside, Fauci was on Capitol Hill yesterday, and he continued to evade and misrepresent and deceive, in my humble estimation. And we've got some Anthony Fauci for you because these guys, I just got to tell you, these guys. And Republican senators, here's a headline from The Hill, not really a newspaper, The Hill. GOP senators warn judge against sentencing Trump to prison. And isn't that interesting? And we've got not all your GOP senators, but the news media is very upset. Oh no, they're threatening the judge. You guys stop looting everything and shooting cops and waving gang members into the country, and then maybe we can have a talk. But we're having a little difficulty right now. Yeah, but Fauci on the Hill yesterday. Fauci stuns Jim Jordan by saying he always kept an open mind on the lab leak theory. His mind is so open that his brain fell out, interestingly enough. He used to be revered in Washington, D.C., then he stepped into the Wuhan thing, and we learned that he wasn't the honorable man that we had once hoped that he was. He's still a hero of the Democrat Party because he deceived the American people very effectively for so long. So the Democrats admire that. They love the big lie. Make a lie so big no one would dare to not believe it. And then he blamed the CDC for that whole 6-foot social distancing thing. No, it wasn't me. I wasn't even there. I never even met the guy. Bring me a small liar. Remarkable stuff. And we've got madness going on everywhere. I got to tell you, I was going through preparing for today's show, and I was thinking, if at the end of today's show, you don't think the Democratic Party is a danger to civilization, if you don't think the Democrat Party is insane and should be disbanded, maybe jailed, maybe they shall go to jail like at a double wide out by the fence line, just like James Comey recommends for Donald Trump, and then take away his Secret Service protection, just like the Democrats are trying to do on Capitol Hill, because, completely crazy. Got fun news regarding a lesbian app using facial recognition. You'll never believe why the lesbian app is using facial recognition. Here's a clue. It's got something to do with Democrats. And who remembers Monty Python's luxury yacht? Luxury yacht. You remember that? Who's the luxury yacht of the WNBA? That is coming up. And Senator Bob Martinez, Gold Bars Bob, he's in the news again. Why? Well, I'll explain. We are at 888-630-9625. Okay, we are back. Going to get to everything we can get to. And Brent Bozell in the 10 a.m. hour. Right now, let's go to the telephones because I said earlier, hey, if you're from Venezuela, call in and tell me about it. So Jose has called in, not from Venezuela, but from Springfield, Virginia. Originally from Venezuela. Jose, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris. What a pleasure to talk to you, man.
Welcome.
Hey, listen, funny thing. 10 minutes before you made that comment, I was thinking about, I've been thinking about calling for about 3 months because I keep hearing about Venezuelans and all the bad rap we're getting because of the Democrats in Venezuela. I'm sorry, the Hugo Chavez regime sending all their crazy people and MTM Tocoron jail and send them all here. And the only thing they know, they're doing what they know what to do. They psychopaths and stuff. And the good ones, the ones that've been here forever, we've been a major supplier of oil for, well, actually we were.
Right. Before the commies took over and ruined.
The commies took over. Everything was great. In the 70s, we helped out with when the Iran-Iraq war. We kind of saved you guys from, you could have been a month in line to get oil, to get gas for your cars, but we helped out a little bit. And all of a sudden these people come in, and the whole country. It's
yeah, I know what you're saying, Jose. And I was being partially tongue in cheek, but I'm glad you called in. You're saying that the Chavez Maduro regime, they've sent their crazy people and their criminals to the United States. You see it yourself, right?
Well, the thing is, the first wave of immigrants were, the first people that got out of Venezuela were the millionaires. All the money came here, went to Colombia, went to Peru, went all over the place.
Right.
The second wave was the brain, they drain all our,
the brain drain and the money left, all the responsible adults left. But I'm running out of time on you, Jose. But then they sent all the criminals and the crazy people.
Then they say, we need to tell these people that, we got to show them, we were shining here.
Yeah, I ran out the clock on you. All right, now you may recall. Well, first of all, I want to thank Jose for calling in. I'm sorry I was in that short block. That's radio talk there and that short block. But, Jose, of course, most of the people that come here from Venezuela, particularly the people fleeing Hugo Chavez, the commie, and Nicolas Maduro, people fleeing those regimes, that regime, since it's a Maduro's continuation of Hugo Chavez. Venezuela was the most prosperous, the most successful, the most economically prosperous country in all of Latin America, had a thriving oil industry. And then Hugo Chavez, the commie, came in, and he stole everything at gunpoint, nationalized all of the oil infrastructure that was built by American and British oil companies. And once the commies took it over, it failed, because that's what commies do. They steal everything and then they destroy it. I don't know how many times we have to have this demonstrated before the entire world knows that that's exactly what happens every time. But Jose is one of the Venezuelans who fled the country and came to the United States and wants a normal life where you're free to live your life like a normal person. But Jose talking about the crazy people and the criminals that the Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro regime sent to the United States. And we've certainly seen an awful lot of evidence of that, haven't we? Venezuelan shooting 2 NYPD officers yesterday, day before yesterday, and Venezuelan murdering Laken Riley in Georgia, That Venezuelan's brother is another Venezuelan, as you might expect, gang member who's also either in jail or the Democrats let him out on the street again because that's what they do. It's not like the word Venezuela is an evil word or everybody from Venezuela is evil, because that's not the case at all. That said, what the Maduro regime is doing to the United States is designed to inflict damage, harm, to get Americans murdered, killed, raped, destroyed, because that's what commies do. And unfortunately, the Democrat Party is there too. I mean, it doesn't matter where you're from. We have Iranian families all over the United States of America that are great American families because they fled the Ayatollah's wrath and the Islamic Revolution to get away from that stuff and come here. And that's why we're Life Raft America. We are that shining city on the hill. We're the place to come. Venezuela, Iran, Russia, China. You know, we're the life raft for the good guys. That's a fact. Now, the Democrats, the left, they're destroying it here, just like the left destroyed everything in Venezuela, just like the left destroys everything everywhere they go. It's not like China or Chinese people are inherently evil. Commies are inherently evil. That's the big difference. All right, now, speaking of inherently evil, let's get to Joe Biden and the big lie. Because what is today's big lie, you might want to know. They've got a carousel of big lies with a musical track and everything coming by us, and they pop up and down. And the news media sucks up to them, and they give them a tongue bath every day. The headlines from the frauds at the New York Times. Biden is expected to sign order letting him seal the border with Mexico. The way he said he couldn't do that. And that's in the New York Times today. That's their headline. But the New York Times told me that Joe Biden said, and the New York Times believed him, that he couldn't use executive orders to control our border or seal our border. And you knew, and I knew, that he was a lying Sacagawea, and he was lying his Sacagawea off when he was telling us that. And the news media carried that water for him because they're the most corrupt institution in America. The Guardian in the United Kingdom, that's not even the United States. Biden to issue order limiting asylum seekers from crossing U.S.-Mexico border. That story in The Guardian from 2 short hours ago. It's making international news, as you might expect. President's move comes amid voter dissatisfaction over migrant numbers as left-wing and Latino lawmakers express alarm. Yeah, left-wing, and the only Latino lawmakers that are sounding the alarm are left-wing Latino lawmakers who have contempt for the United States, for the rule of law, for our customs, our culture, our law, our sovereignty. But never mind that. Joe Biden on Tuesday, that's today, was set to announce an executive order that would reportedly temporarily shut down the U.S.-Mexico border to asylum seekers. Everybody's an asylum seeker now, attempting to cross outside of lawful ports of entry. I got your port of entry right over here. When the daily threshold of crossings is exceeded. Now, what's the daily threshold of crossings? Well, they haven't said yet, because this is all about the polls. You know, but they're toying with some numbers under the executive order, which Biden plans to sign alongside several border town mayors in a made-for-TV photo op with left-wing radicals. But never mind that. The administration would shut down asylum requests to the U.S.-Mexico border once the number of daily encounters reached 2,500 between legal ports of entry, according to the Associated Press, who's having sex with the Biden administration in the shadows of the darkened rooms at the White House. The border would reopen once the number of crossings eases to 1,500. That makes a lot of sense. That could mean the order takes effect immediately. Legal challenges are expected. Now, this is a lot of hooey, of course. This is just Democrat Party propaganda. It's not about the welfare of the country. It's about the welfare of the Democrat Party and their prospects in the November election. That's all it's about. Make no mistake. So the Biden administration has this harebrained scheme. It's based entirely on the polls. because the polls show that 60 to 70% of Americans have had enough of Joe Biden's corrupt border policies, such as they are, and they see that that could be a problem for them on Election Day. They don't care about the country, make no mistake. They don't care about Laken Riley being murdered, make no mistake. They don't care about your family, your home, our sovereignty, our culture, our language. They don't care about the rule of law. They travel with phalanx of security, heavily armed men who are there to, put themselves in the way of bullets that are intended for them because they've got private security and government security and on and on. So the action comes months after the failure of a bipartisan border security deal to a foreign aid package that collapsed after Trump announced his opposition. That's a lot of hooey from the Guardian. The reality is the Democrats and Chuck Schumer, who is the Lizard King, of course, put together a corrupt Senate bill that would not have secured our border, but would have provided billions of dollars for what they call judges to go down there to wave people into the country and give them bus tickets and plane tickets to send them around the country. Oh, by the way, today is Election Day in Washington, D.C. and various other places. And the Washington Post is proud to announce that illegal aliens are voting today and non-citizens are voting today because the Democrats want to dismantle the United States of America and make it unrecognizable. D.C., the front page of the Metro section, which is 2 pieces of paper today because they're about to go out of business. D.C. set to cast primary ballots. And everywhere incumbents seek to fend off rivals. Now, district voters on Tuesday will cast ballots in the Democratic primary, which could determine a new number of D.C. city council seats, but Trayon White will maintain his seat. He's the guy who thinks the Jews control the weather because that makes sense to Democrats. And they say that the Washington Post, a generational change. Well, several incumbents aim to hang on to their seats in local elections. Just amazing stuff. But they very proudly go on to explain non-citizen residents reflect on their votes. This is a headline in the Washington Post on the front page of the Metro sectional. For the first time in D.C., they are eligible to cast a ballot in local races. Why do they always have to bring race into it? They came to the United States from El Salvador, Ethiopia, and Iran to study, to earn money, to escape violence. And they all found a home in the nation's capital. Now, again, they don't have to be here legally. They don't have to be legal residents. They don't have to have come into the country legally. They're not U.S. citizens, but they care about issues in their communities, including education, health care, free stuff, and affordable housing, free stuff. And for the first time, these non-citizen residents, some of whom lived here for decades and have children who were born here illegally, got to get rid of that anchor baby thing. What kind of suicidal culture has the anchor baby policy? What kind of suicidal culture allows non-citizens to vote in their elections in the nation's capital, no less, of the United States of America? What about what Washington Post hasn't mentioned, that you don't have to be a legal resident to vote in the elections because the Democrats are here to destroy the world. They will have a say in how their communities are run. They love that word communities. They don't know what it means. They're among more than 500 non-citizen district residents, they're talking in one little cluster here, who have registered to vote and have cast their ballots or are headed to the polls Tuesday. They can cast the early ballots and then show up at the polling place today, too. So to pick their representatives for D.C. Council. The voters include 310 registered as Democrats, 169 independent, 28 Republican, and 16 statehood green. That's Communist Party. And Sarah Graham said, the spokesperson for the D.C. Board of Elections. Now, so here they've got illegal aliens and non-citizens voting in Washington, D.C. today. They always lied to us that they would never allow that and they would never be in favor of that, because they lie about everything. You may recall Joe Biden being asked about this a while back, and he lied. I can't do anything about the border because the Republicans are so mean that they just won't let me, Joe Biden in January.
Have you done everything you can do with executive authority? Or is there more you could do? That's all I can do.
Give me the power. I've asked for the very day I got it off. Give me the border patrol. Give me the people. Give me the people, the judges. Give me the people to stop this, to take it work right.
Yeah, House Resolution H.R. 2 would have cleaned it up like that. I just snapped my fingers. Do you have the executive authority? Oh, I can't. I've been trying since day one. He took 90 some odd executive actions when he became president to undo everything President Trump had done to secure the border. He is a massive, gaping, lying Sacagawea, and he is oozing dishonesty. In March, he lied to us. Give me the Border Patrol. You control the Border Patrol, you rectal aperture. Give me the judges. They want the judges just to process people into the country. Everybody knows it. Every sane person was against the insane Chuck Schumer Democrat Senate bill that would have formalized and codified the open border and overrun the country with even millions more. Biden in March.
Mr. President, when is a border executive action coming? An executive action on the border.
Counting on the border action happened by itself. The passing it.
Yeah, it's the Republicans' fault. He is everything he says is the opposite of the truth. Senator John Cornyn yesterday was having none of this executive orders. Oh, I can't do anything. And now he's doing executive actions that he said he couldn't do or would have no effect because the polls have turned against him.
I expect no change. This is all an election year deathbed conversion by Joe Biden. Basically, this executive order, which would be, by my count, roughly the 95th executive order he's issued, does nothing to change the ability to hold people as opposed to catch them and release them. And it actually says the first 2,500 that come across the border get in free, will be released into the interior of the country.
The deathbed conversion, and it's because of the polls entirely. In New York, there is a woman named Allison Esposito, a now retired career NYPD officer, who's running for Congress as a Republican.
Even the city council, the reckless New York City Council, is saying, well, maybe we should put forth some kind of a policy to renege on sanctuary cities. This is a problem. The problem is, in day one, Joe Biden came in, and with a stroke of his pen, he changed all of the border policies. He ended Remain in Mexico. He allowed Title 42 to expire. He reinstated catch and release. He stopped construction of the southern border wall, and he opened up the border. Okay, this is a very big problem.
Other than that, he's been doing a great job. Allison Esposito, if you're in New York, vote for her.
You had 300 known terrorists cross our southern border in fiscal year 2020 that we caught. That's not about the gotaways, the millions of gotaways that are in our country. We have an incredible problem with these sanctuary cities. We have an incredible problem at the southern border, and criminals are coming over. Illegal fentanyl is coming over. They're killing our people.
They're killing our people. The Democrats don't care about that. They don't care about people being murdered by Venezuelan gang members or by Brazilian gang members or the Chinese men coming in by the tens of thousands. That's not a border country. And Biden, who said he couldn't possibly do anything by executive action, today says, I can do this by executive action, because pretty much everything he tells you is a lie. These are extraordinary times. Our country is in grave danger because of sock puppets like Joe Biden and the hand up his chute, which is, I believe, Barack Obama's hand, and the hand of Frank Marshall Davis and Saul Alinsky. They're not on our side.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal.
Yes. Joe Biden, her name was Laken Riley before a Venezuelan criminal murdered her, and Venezuelan's brother is another criminal gang member who's in the country because of Joe Biden. Allison Esposito, again running for Congress in New York, retired NYPD officer Allison Esposito.
The biggest thing to take home with this is, it wasn't Laken Riley or the people that were killed because of the reckless border policy. It wasn't the NYPD officers that were shot. It wasn't the melees that are happening in Times Square. It wasn't the 2 individuals killed in my home district in Middletown by someone who was on the deportation list. It wasn't any of that caused Joe Biden to wake up and say, hey, maybe I should do something about the border. It was an election year.
It's a poll, 67% disapprove. It's the only reason on this executive action is going to be impotent, just like Joe. Let's go to Steve, calling from Ashburn, Virginia. Stephen, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Chris. Wonderful show, as always. You're on point with this topic. Here's a question concerning the fourth. Let's say it's a number of 4,000. So we have a quota of 4,000. So how many Uzbeks, how many Venezuelans, Chinese, women with children, terrorists, something like that. If someone comes in and says, "Oh, I'm sorry, we're done with women and children. You can't come in." But if you are a terrorist, we haven't yet achieved our limit on that. Just tell us you're a terrorist, and then we'll let you in. How insane is that? I feel like you said before, a sane man in an insane society appears insane.
Yeah, that's what's going on. And look, it would be racist to ask people where they're from or to calculate the numbers based on whether they're Uzbeks or Chinese communists or whether they're Russians or, jihadis. That would be, according to the Democrats, that would be racist, right? Because they're so open-minded, Steve, that their brains fell out long ago and went splat on the ground, almost like a pool of Hillary Clinton's vomit. It's extraordinary. I'm beginning to think, Steve, that they're not on our side. You think I'm right about that?
Wait, let me check. Oh, yes, you are right on.
I am right about that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Steve, thank you for being a thinking person and for paying attention. And that's true. And I like that you mentioned Uzbeks, too, because you got to keep your eyes peeled for Uzbeks. You never know what they're up to.
Oh, no! Uzbeks have drunk my battery fluid. I knew this would happen.
Hey, Uzbeks might drink your battery fluid, and you don't want that. Battery fluid is in short supply.